Hi, welcome to the show. We've been drinking MMA. We're breaking down the this is a pay-per-view card here.
Yeah, 292, 293.
UFC 293, Adesanya Strickland main card, and this is the first fight, which is Tyson Pedro versus Anton Turkalj. And, this is light heavyweight. And my pick is going to be Tyson Pedro. For me, I think he's got the striking, and Turkalj is a little bit more of a grappler, a little touch of the grappling more so.
If I were to pick anybody, it'd be Anton because he has pressure. But I'm not gonna put any money on it. But if I were to put money on something, it would be inside the distance on this one. I think Tyson Pedro is a counter striker with feet work that knows how to throw.
Yeah.
But this Anton guy throws with attention and he doesn't mind getting punched. Let's just say it like that. And he's just always with the pressure. So I think somebody's gonna get knocked out in this.
Yeah. So I feel like Turkalj kind of he does put that pressure.
And he has some weird strikes, the spinning stuff. He's like Bruce Leroy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Spinning back fists, spinning elbows. Relatively creative in there, and
but usually when he starts doing that, it means he's losing the fight.
Yeah,
so.
I think one of his things he likes to do is try and get the body lock on you and drag you down to
the grappling,
and really drag you down and just make it like a dirty fight. And Pedro, it looks like from some of the highlights, you can see like Pedro likes to keep that distance, and he's got flicks the jab out there pretty well, and can kick and punch with power and good speed and confidence. So I'm just thinking, Pedro with the striking is going to, I think, it's going to be tough to keep the distance, though, against a guy who just keeps charging at you.
Yeah,
and this is light heavyweight.
Coming forward.
This is light heavyweight.
205, one punch,
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting fight. It's a 50-50 fight. I think Turkalj is slightly favored, but it's basically 50-50.
Yeah.
So, I saw Turkalj's last fight also versus, we actually saw that fight. We were doing a podcast on that
Petrovic?
Yeah, Vitor Petrino.
Petrino,
and one of the scorecards was Petrino beat Turkalj 30-26.
Yeah, that was a dismantling.
It was a dismantling, but to be fair, Petrino looked like I think he was on the Ultimate, the either Contender Series or Ultimate Fighter, and he looked great there. And he's just looking like a guy who's like a good prospect, so it's just
on the
unfortunate.
come up.
Yeah, it's tough when you go fight a guy like dominant and who has got power, and he did good against the grappling and was able to get up off the ground pretty well against Turkalj. And
look at the last two fights, and Anton has fought.
Yeah.
Jolton Almeida.
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah,
and then Petrino.
Yeah, he literally
two just amazing contenders right there.
Yeah, I mean, he was literally undefeated before those two losses in the UFC, and he even had a win over some guy named Israel Dos Santos. That was his Contender Series fight. And then you have Pedro. Pedro has been in the UFC for a while, dude.
Yeah.
Since 2016. Look at that. He actually submitted Khalil Roundtree, who we got a lot of respect for. He KO'd Paul Craig. We got respect for him. Lost to Ilir Latifi, but that was when Latifi was pretty doing decent in the maybe top 15 at that point. Submitted a guy named Safarov. Submitted by St. Preux, and St. Preux is no joke.
St. Preux, yeah.
Right? KO'd by
and at that time, it was before the pandemic, too. So pre-pandemic, St. Preux was really, really good.
Yeah, Paul Craig is a guy who's like top 15. Khalil Roundtree, almost top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that he KO'd Craig, but he's a grappler. But Roundtree, he submitted him. So the point is that a guy who looks dominant fighter, he can do good against them, and he's proven it. It just seems like a guy who is pretty experienced in the UFC for the last 7 years, and he's doing pretty well and getting better with the striking. And then you got him against the guy who is just coming into the UFC from about a year and a half ago. So I just feel like the experienced striker versus the guy who's coming in with creativity,
experience
from
versus
pressure,
youth
versus,
and pressure.
100%.
Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting fight because Turkalj comes to fight and comes to really put pressure anyways, and makes it so that it'll be tougher for Pedro to just try and get away and strike. So it'll be interesting to see if Turkalj can take him down. We'll see.
My pick is inside distance, and Rowe
You're going anyone by inside the distance.
Yeah,
it's gonna end early.
I don't really have a winner because the more you talk about Tyson, the more I'm like, maybe I should pick him.
Yeah.
But like, I just like Anton's pressure, and I don't know if that's gonna be a detriment to him or it's gonna be good for him. So
right.
So I'm gonna inside distance.
Right. Yeah. I just like Pedro's experience. He's beaten some really, really, pretty relatively top guys, people who are now in the top 10, top 12. In the past, obviously it was, but still, he's got wins over them. Only lost to top tier guys more so, who are in the top 15 and stuff, or people who used to be former champions like Shogun. Other than that, he's doing pretty good overall, and the striking looks good. Looks like it should be. I feel like Tyson Pedro is going to be able to find that distance early. Not early. It'll probably take a round to get used to Turkalj's pressure. But after about the second round, it might be interesting also for also a live bet because it might be the first round might be a little bit messy.
Tyson gasses out sometimes. So.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know, but like
I always anytime you have a guy who pressures a ton and likes to go for takedowns, I like to kind of sometimes see the part of the first round and just see. Is Pedro not handling the pressure of Turkalj well? Is Turkalj just getting him against the cage a lot? Is this going to be closer to a 50-50 fight? Because if it's going to be a 50-50 fight where Turkalj drags him down and then Pedro gets up after a minute and then they go back, fight a little bit, and then grapple again from Turkalj, and you go at the end, it's like, oh, it might be a closer fight. It's one of those fights that could be a closer fight, just messy on the scorecards.
But UFC judges, in my opinion, go for the damage instead of the takedowns.
They'll go for the damage, that's true.
Whoever does more damage in the fight wins the fight usually.
Sure.
I don't know, unless it's like 6, 7, 8 takedowns or something like that. But like if it's like Tyson Pedro lands like 20 strikes and then he gets taken down, then who knows who wins that fight?
Yeah. But I mean, Turkalj being a grappler, gonna be tough to submit a guy like that. And the only people that have really beaten Turkalj are Petrino and Almeida, who are top tier. Type prospect. Almeida's a prospect. So my point is that you're not gonna submit Turkalj, knock him out. Petrino would have knocked him out, right? If he was gonna get knocked out, he would have been knocked out by Petrino. Petrino's got more power than Tyson Pedro. So in my opinion, it's maybe Tyson Pedro by decision if it's a good value, if it's like plus 300, just get really great value on it, and then maybe do a live bet after maybe the first round on Pedro or whoever you think is going to win. But I got Pedro is my overall pick. I might put a small bet just on Pedro outright too. But
Pedro straight up, and then my pick is inside distance.
Cool. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks. Like, subscribe, comment. Welcome to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. I'm Curtis. I'm sitting next to Ro.
Yep.
Here we go. We are talking about the UFC 293. Adesanya Strickland.
Second fight, bro.
Second fight in the main card is Tafa versus Lane.
Tafa, Austin Lane.
Yep. Justin Tafa.
Heavyweights.
Yeah, one punch power.
Let's go.
Heavyweights.
Yeah. Very fun fight.
First round knockout. I don't know who's going to win, but I think it's Tafa. I think it's Tafa first round knockout.
I think it's definitely not going the distance. I also see it ending in a knockout. And that's what my bet's going to be. It's going to be inside the distance, that it doesn't go all 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I think both of them hit with power, but they're both punchers.
Yes.
And they both know how to load up and transfer.
This is going to be a grapple fest. This is not going to be that.
No grapple fest here. I think what's interesting, normally I love Justin Tafa to win a lot of fights and really knock people out. He does the Mark Hunt, Super Samoan Mark Hunt, legendary.
Mark Hunt Jr.
Yes, the way Mark Hunt used to knock people out with one punch and then walk off. Like he knew they were knocked out type of thing. And Justin Tafa does the same thing.
Same stuff.
One big punch, loads up on it, boom, knocks someone silly, and then just walks off. He knows it's over. And it's a powerful thing to have. He throws good combinations. He's got good awareness as far as like not overcommitting and getting unnecessarily hit. And then Austin Lane though has a 6-inch reach advantage, and it's a huge thing. This fight is a rematch technically. It's not a rematch, but it's kind of a rematch because they fought before, but it got finished with an eye poke.
It's a bring back for sure.
Yeah, they're running it back. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And in that fight though, you could see Lane's leg reach, the arm reach. He had such an advantage with the limbs, the length of his limbs over Tafa. He was able to do some leg kicks. He was able to, totally, and he's faster than Tafa. I would say much faster. And you told me that
he's an athlete. He used to be an NFL player.
NFL player here.
He's an athlete that's in the MMA.
I got to say, Austin.
Justin Tafa's a fighter.
I think they're both scary. Is what I think. And I've been looking at Lane's highlights. He knows when to load up, and he can really throw heavy, strong, fast punches. And you look at Tafa, and is another dangerous, scary guy. I think when I see both of them, I just go, damn. Both these guys are super dangerous, knockout power, smart guys when they're fighting too, like not taking unnecessary punishment, but at the same time willing to go in the pocket and throw heavy punches. So. It's hard to. It's actually in the beginning I was thinking Tafa, and then I was like, damn, look at Austin Lane though, man. He's improving. The way he knows how to load up, transfer the weight into his punches are dangerous. Length on his punches, he's got long arms, 80 inches. That's almost John Jones type shit, except he's got more power than John Jones.
I truly think Lane's gonna try for a sloppy takedown or something like that. He's gonna do something sloppy, and Tafa's gonna catch him. So Tafa.
And this is another fight that you love because it's Tafa's a southpaw.
Yeah.
And Lane is an orthodox.
Yep. Oh, the counter striking. I'm gonna love this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love this fight.
Yeah. I would be super shocked to see it go the distance just because they don't seem like those people. You look at Austin Lane's record. Every fight he's won, every single one has ended in a KO every time and then one submission. So 100% finish rate for Austin Lane, right? And then you have Justin Tafa, right? His record is 6 wins, all KOs.
Yes.
Like, it's like inside the distance might be so expensive, that it's like it prices you out, but it's great to add on the parlay.
Yes.
And not only that, but you can just see it happening. It feels like almost like a Lennox Lewis Mike Tyson fight, where you look at it's like Lennox Lewis has the long arms, he's got the better jab, but maybe Tafa has a better jab, but it's like that type of thing where it has to end in a knockout.
Well, just look at the prior experiences with these fighters.
Yep. The
way they are taking people out by knockout.
Yeah.
And how many decisions are with these fighters? I would say less than 500%. Or 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just going by the numbers,
yeah.
How do these fighters fight, and how do they take these guys out? And
first round for Austin Lane happened like 8 or 9 times out of 11 fights, wins, something like that in the first round KO.
I mean, and you look at Tafa. We don't even need to say anything about Tafa. We know he's a knockout artist.
Yeah, we know this.
Yeah, so. First round knockout. I don't know who it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a bet.
It's a great bet right there, because they both are quick starters. Austin is a super quick starter with so many first round knockouts. Justin Tafa, as we've seen, knocked out Parker Porter. In his last fight, rigger. Right before he got eye poked by Austin Lane, he knocked out Parker Porter in the first round. Actually, he's coming off of 2 first round knockouts. I mean, they're both prime. The way that they're fighting, they're getting so confident about these guys. It's going to be super interesting to see who knocks out who and everything. I just think I'd go with Tafa, just that 6-inch reach advantage for Austin Lane and the leg reach. It's just a little bit kind of tough for me to pick. And regardless, even if I did bet Tafa, it'd be Tafa by KO, and this one is just going to be either guy by KO. So maybe there's a double chance bet by maybe doing Tafa or Lane by KO. Maybe there's a chance for that because it's not
like exact method of
guaranteed.
Victory.
There's no submission here. This is a KO. KO. That's it.
Exact method of victory. That's
exact method of victory that ends in a KO.
Yeah.
I think I'll look for that bet. If it's like minus 200, minus 300, I think it'll be great to add to a parlay. And that way you're not committed to one fighter, because Austin Lane could technically with a 6-inch reach advantage. You don't know how it might play out. And yeah, it's just going to be fun. So thanks for listening, guys.
Like, subscribe, comment. We want to know how we're doing, so please do that. Thanks. Welcome to We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. We are talking about the UFC 293 Adesanya Strickland. And we are on the 3rd fight, I believe, and it's between Manel Kape and
Felipe Dos Santos.
They
call him Lipe Daytona is his nickname. But Felipe Dos Santos, he's undefeated, 7-0. But this is flyweight.
22 years old.
We got the highlights going with him. He's a decent fighter. I just think that his defense is pretty good. Everything is pretty good. I think he's getting better from fight to fight.
Hands are up. He keeps moving forward.
Yeah, I think he's not fast enough for Manel Kape. I think he loads up a little bit on his punches. He's not bad. He's not bad.
Against Starboy, it's a different competition level.
Exactly. And, it's like he's maybe, he's pretty good in the first round like a lot of fighters, but second, third round, you'll start seeing Felipe Dos Santos start slowing down. Defense starts not – you're seeing lazy punch. You see that?
Yeah.
So, we got the highlights going while we're talking about it. So, anyways, Manel Kape is a minus 370 favorite, but Manel Kape is a guy who's top 5 in the weight class of flyweight, right? 125
He's a dangerous fighter.
Pounds. Dangerous fighter, phenomenal talent. We're talking about head movement. We're talking about in and out, super fast movement, very slick with his footwork, and just
different angle striking.
We're talking a guy who could potentially fight for the belt with like 1 or 2 more fights type of fighter caliber. And Felipe Dos Santos, no disrespect, but he's 7-0, he's undefeated, but this is his first fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
And when a guy who's relatively good but not really looking that great comes into the UFC, like we saw last week with Guskov and Ozdemir, they look good against like guys who aren't great fighters in other organizations, but when they come to the UFC and fight a top 10 guy, a guy who's a perennial
10
top
days
5,
notice.
top 10, it's not good. They're gonna get beaten pretty easily. I think this is the same way going to be. So that's why, for me, it's Manel Kape is the pick, and I want to put him on the parlay. He's minus 370, $370 to make 100. And then also, if I can get Manel Kape by KO, just a small bet on that separate, because I just feel like it's tiers
probably
levels.
On this card, it's probably going to be a lot of KOs, which is awesome. It's going to be fun to watch a lot of these fights. So, go ahead.
No. So, So, I mean, I just feel like it's levels, right? That's the thing.
Well, Manel Kape was supposed to fight Cara France, which is like top tier.
2 top 5 fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's fighting a guy who hasn't fought in the UFC yet. It's just different.
Don't you think Manel Kape should maybe be minus 800 in this fight?
I don't know what the odds makers are seeing. Maybe Manel Kape is hurt. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But like as how I see it, Manel Kape's gonna like dismantle this guy.
Yeah.
Right? And he's probably going to take him out. I don't really know. I don't know why he's only minus 370.
I see a guy who sometimes, Felipe Dos Santos in the highlights, he's throwing a lazy punch here and there against a guy who's top tier like Manel Kape, who can, shut your lights out with a really fast couple of 1-2 strikes. Again, we got the highlights going. You can just literally see Manel Kape looks like a otherworldly talent, and you look at Felipe Dos Santos and you go, okay, a guy who maybe should get maybe a shot in the UFC against a guy, who's like not really, experienced in the UFC, or somebody who's not a big puncher, and just see what Dos Santos, if he's, I don't even know if Dos Santos, his record is 7-0, but it's hard to say does he look UFC caliber? I would say I'm not sure.
Well, you only can see so much.
You can only see so much, but
he's only 22.
He's young.
He's had 7 fights professionally.
Yeah.
I mean, how much stuff can we actually see?
Well, I'll give you
the
fact is that he's been jumping from organization to organization every other fight.
Yeah.
And
he's just trying to get a paycheck.
He's trying to get a paycheck, and he's never been champion at any of these lower level organizations. Right? Because he doesn't stay there long enough. And why? Because people probably just think, well, he's okay, but we have to pay him because he's undefeated, and it's,
He gets a call from another organization. Yeah. He's like, fine, I'll fight. I'll fight. I don't care. Let's go.
Which is fine. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but I'm just saying if you haven't been...
It's way of thinking.
It's not like he's like a fighter who's been champion at Cage Warriors, like Conor McGregor was, or people like that who, Michael Bisping, they were champions in bigger... organizations outside the UFC, and they became champion there, and then they came over, and that's why they had a pedigree. This guy looks like he's got to work on his fundamentals as far as not throwing these lazy punches, getting the defense better, looking for better opportunities to strike, not just throwing spinning elbows, and just being creative in there and being a little bit more technical. Because against like Kape, you try and do some creative stuff, and he can get out of the way with his head and then just come back with a 1-2 and knock you out. So I think this is going to be an easy win. This is my lock of the night, is Manel Kape to win against Felipe Dos Santos. So that's my pick, Manel Kape.
Manel Kape for the win. Lock it up.
Lock it up. I think great price. I really believe that Kape should be minimum minus 600 in this fight. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're getting good money at minus 370.
It's great money, and
you're gonna put 370 down.
This is one of those things where I'm just like, I don't believe in borrowing on margin, but like this would be a fight for me. I'm just like, I'm considering like, hey, can I get a $20,000 loan? They're like, what are you trying to start a business? I'm like, I'm trying to bet on Manel Kape to destroy Felipe Dos Santos. They're like, what the hell are you talking about?
By the way, yes.
I'm excited to see. Honestly, this is the one time I'm really more excited to just see the prediction come true and Kape just wipe the floor with this kid. Yeah. But no disrespect, I just think
that's what's fun about having this. Like, these are our bets. You can actually see him in the future.
To be fair, like Lousy said, like Dos Santos is filling in on short notice, and because of that, maybe that's why the odds makers are thinking, oh, Kape
fresh legs.
Yeah, Kape goes like, well, Kape hasn't been training. Kape's been training for Kai Kara France, who's a completely different fighter,
wrestler.
He's like a great right hand punch with Kai Kara France, a guy who is experienced, has the good footwork. Hard worker in there.
And he absolute granite for chin.
Yeah, exactly. And then Dos Santos is like kind of a taller, lankier fighter who is more creative but not so technical. So all of a sudden you look at that and
leaves himself open.
Yeah, leaves himself open, but also can throw some interesting type of weird spinning stuff that
he wasn't ready for.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they're thinking, oh, this is a weird matchup. But for me, I'm just like, man, I just think it's inexperience versus experience. Star boy,
Mr.
man.
Backflip himself.
Let's go, man. Manel Kape here.
Manel Kape for the win.
Man.
Easy.
Easy times. We've been drinking MMA. This is a co-main event here for UFC 293 prediction right here for the Adesanya Strickland card. The co-main event is Tai Tuivasa, Alexander Volkov. Heavyweight matchup. Both got a high KO record.
Someone's getting knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, Tai Tuivasa literally has a 100% finish rate. Never been. Only one decision he's won. Every other win he's had is by KO. And
win or loss by KO.
Yeah, not one submission. All KOs. Call him Bam Bam for a reason.
Bam Bam.
Knocks people the hell out. His record is so for me. My pick is going to be. I'm actually going to live bet this one because for me, it looks like Tai Tuivasa could knock him out, of course, or Volkov could play the distance game and really, like he did against Derek Lewis, who's another heavyweight knockout artist who's a little bit slower with the footwork, just like Tai Tuivasa. Shuivasa, we should call him. He's earned that nickname after drinking so many shoeys after the knockout wins. But I feel like Volkov could have won that fight with Derek Lewis on that McGregor could be
last 10 seconds.
Massive guard. In the last 10 seconds, he got
knocked out.
He could have
danced his way out of there.
I feel like when you go through a devastating loss like that, where you were winning the whole fight easily and then you get knocked out in the last, it makes me.
That'd be forever known as my balls is hot.
Yeah, and then Derek Lewis got to go on the promo and really announce to the world that his balls were hot.
Yeah, why are your pants off, Derek?
Why'd you take your shorts off? Because his balls are hot, naturally, which what happens in a UFC fight as a heavyweight. But so I don't know. For me, what's your pick, bro? What are you thinking?
I am thinking inside distance, but more specifically, I think it's somebody's going to get knocked out in this one.
Yeah. KO.
By KO. But if I were to pick somebody, it'd be Volkov because I just think he's more technical. He's more. Okay. He just knows what he's doing, and what you're getting with Tai. It's more like
a little bit slower, yeah.
But he's coming straight forward. He's coming with knockout shots.
But we saw what happened with Gane. He did knock down Cyril Gane, who had a phenomenal performance against Spivak last week. Knocked out Spivak and knocks out basically everybody. Yes. It makes John Jones look great because Cyril. Now everyone goes, damn! Look what John Jones did to Cyril, and Cyril is still knocking people out in the top five. So
Tuivasa has granite for a chin, but like last two fights. Some of those
knocked out by Pavlovich.
Some chunks of that granite is getting knocked out.
Gane versus Pavlovich is the fight I think to make now. Let's do it, guys. I just can't wait for that fight.
Or Jones versus Pavlovich.
Yeah, that's fine. Do that.
I don't really want to see it.
But the problem is that Jones.
Do you want to see a Gane Jones fight rematch?
Hell no.
I don't want to see another rematch.
And I don't really want to see Pavlovich either, to be honest, because Pavlovich is great, but just the wrestling element, John Jones' quickness, John Jones' IQ. It's like what I want to see is, because John Jones is fighting Stipe Miocic at UFC 295, right? I think it's gonna be in New York or something.
He's gonna lay down his gloves after that.
I think so.
If he wins that fight.
Yeah, I think it's hard for him to keep eating this much to be, and it's not fun. He even said, they're like, do you like being this big? Do you like eating that much? And John Jones is like, no, I don't feel that great. I'm just eating this so I can be bulky, so I can take a punch, so I can give up, good strong punches to the heavyweights. Kind of like George St. Pierre. After he moved up, he kind of just retired. When you move up like that and you're eating that much food, you have to force yourself to eat. And you have to lift all the time. And, it's a tough, different lifestyle. I don't think it's fun. They do it for legacy.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go and beat the greatest UFC heavyweight champion ever, Stipe Miocic. That's what his goal is, and he's going to retire. And then maybe Pavlovich Gane for the vacant belt, if that happens. Maybe that's what they're planning, But regardless, that's going to be a fun fight. But regardless,
that's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, Tuivasa did knock down Cyril Gane, but overall in the fight, he never had a chance. Other than that one knockdown, that flash knockdown, and then Gane got back up and Tai couldn't really, no follow-up punches really to really do anything else. Other than that 5 to 7 second sequence, Gane won like every other part of the fight. Every second of the fight, Gane won except for those 5 seconds.
Not get it twisted. Gane's a totally different fighter from Volkov.
He is much faster, much more powerful
footwork,
in strikes. It's angles much better.
It's like his feints. Like everything works for Gane when it's just a striking match.
I just think Volkov has been through this fight before, so he's not going to. You know what he's going to do? Try and win. It could be by decision. He's got let's see. He's got a reach advantage of 5 inches. Huge in this fight. Southpaw versus Orthodox. Tuivasa is Southpaw. Volkov is an Orthodox, which
5
you
inches
love.
taller.
You know, the work rate is 4 significant strikes landed per minute for Tuivasa.
Southpaw versus Orthodox.
It's about
I'm telling you,
4.9 or almost 5 significant strikes landed per minute for Volkov. 6'7" versus 6'2". Volkov is 5 inches taller. His legs are way longer. You know, Tuivasa is 30 years old. Volkov's 34 years old. You know. Just things to think about, but
Volkov's more tactical. Shui's more one-punch power.
Let's be honest, though. Tuivasa's slow. Tuivasa loads up. Volkov has the kicks, got the arm reach.
If Shui just lands one.
Yeah, lands one.
You know what
but
I mean?
If you look at the people he's knocked out in the UFC, right? We're looking
the same
at
type of fighters.
Stefan Struve does have long arms, but he's very slow. Volkov's much faster than that. Sakai is slow. Derek Lewis very slow. So what I'm saying is that it's hard to just say necessarily that, you know, that it's going to be by KO, because it could be by KO, but I think Volkov is going to feel like he could KO him, or Volkov could just play the distance game and just kick, punch, move, you know, that type of stuff. So what I like to do here is I want to go for a live bet. I'm thinking Volkov does probably win, but Tai has that one-punch knockout power, and it's dangerous. So what I like to do right here is let's see if Tuivasa is in shape to kind of go all 3 rounds hard. If he's not, I think I'd just put a live bet on Volkov after, like,
if he looks sloppy on the weigh-ins.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. I just think it's one of those fights where it's like, man, you know, Volkov has been knocked out before by a fighter like Tuivasa. Tuivasa knocked down Cyril Gane, so Tuivasa deserves credit where credit's due. And I just think that live bet is very, very it's just smart for me to just wait it out a little bit and just see how the first round goes.
I don't disagree with that, but like I think somebody's getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but if you are putting like a hypothetical gun to my head, pick a fighter. I'm gonna pick Volkov.
It feels right. The distance control, the leg reach, the arm reach, the quick, a little bit faster.
He has some power.
Some power. Yeah, he's got some KOs. He KO'd his last opponent, Romanov. You know, he KO'd actually Rosenstrike. Rosenstrike's good. You know, so yeah, you know, he's got the KO power. I think Volkov is kind of the pick, but I just feel like I want to give credit to Shui because Shui's
the same type-ish fighter as Shui a little bit.
Yeah,
the one-punch power type thing, but like. I think Volkov's going to win, and I think by knockout. So.
Yeah, there we go. Kind of Volkov, but I just want to live bet him type of thing and just make sure Shui doesn't get too close and too often, you know, type shit. Yeah, so.
But, like, as a fan favorite, you're kind of rooting for Shui because he's just a fun fighter to watch.
Yeah.
Especially when he wins. It's like, wow.
I love to watch him fight. It's fun he's never in a boring fight, ever. And it's fun to watch him. But, you know, Volkov, I think he needs to use the kicks. You need to use kicks to the stomach and things like that. Yeah, at least you throw. If he's not throwing any leg kicks and decides, hey, let's make it a boxing fight. That's not smart. So it's a
phone booth fight.
Yeah, don't do that, man. If he's doing that, I'm just gonna watch the fight ride out, play out. But if Volkov is using leg kicks type of thing, using his kicks in the beginning to keep the distance, you know, type of thing.
Volkov a leg kicker?
He throws I think a front kick here and there. Okay. Like he'll throw it here and there, but yeah, it just depends about his game plan in this fight, and I'm not too proud to admit that it's one of those things where it really depends on the game plan, and you're gonna see it in the first round, the first few minutes. Is he throwing kicks? If he's not, I don't like that whole situation with this fight. It's a heavyweight fight, KO guys, you know, it's dangerous. So, thanks guys for listening.
Let us know how we're doing. Welcome to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. We're on the main event of the Adesanya Strickland, and we are talking. And my pick is Adesanya. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer here, guys. Sean Strickland, these press conferences are going to be game changers.
Pretty legendary.
But I don't think like the fight itself is going to be game changing at all. But like
No. It really does feel kind of like I'm going with Adesanya too. He's minus $650 to make 100, and for good reason.
Yep.
Great reason.
My pick is Adesanya, but I don't think I'm going to put any money on it. Like, even in the props, you have to get really specific to get money a good price on anything.
Yeah.
Unless you're a Strickland fan, think he's tough enough to actually win some rounds, and but I just don't see that happening.
So, yeah. I think it's one of those things where it depends what Adesanya wants to, because Adesanya can win in many ways, right? He could head kick him. He could throw some elbows in the clinch, and when they're closer a little bit against the cage, he could throw an elbow. He could throw a counterpunch like he did to Pereira. He could wait for Strickland to come in and just wait to counter in the open space.
Sean Strickland is a tough guy.
He's tough.
And he just keeps moving forward.
It's hard to know if Adesanya wins by decision or KO. It's hard to know. Really tough.
I really don't know. It's just Adesanya is the clear-cut winner.
Kind of just you're planning maybe just throw Adesanya on the parlay.
I'm not planning on putting any money on this.
Oh, you don't even want to put him in
because
the parlay?
It's not good enough for me. Because I don't know how he's gonna win. I know Adesanya is going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I don't know how he's gonna win, and I don't want to like guess at something like this. But like,
maybe just hope that Strickland wins a round, maybe the first round, and then Adesanya becomes minus 300, and then maybe put some money on it.
That might be
that's like it's either let Strickland hopefully do good early, because Strickland is a pretty fast starter, and then maybe if Adesanya becomes less than minus 400, just kind of put some money on it, because in 5, if it was 3 rounds, it's like but 5 rounds, it's like, dude, Adesanya will figure out his opponent. I feel like, what do you call it? In this fight, we have 4-inch reach advantage for Adesanya. We have, he is 6'4", so he's got a 3-inch height advantage over Strickland. Strickland is 6'1". Strickland's work rate is nice, almost 6 significant strikes landed per minute, and Adesanya is about 4 significant strikes landed per minute. But ultimately, I look at this fight, and I look at Strickland, and I go, he's a combination puncher that goes forward.
Yes.
And I think everyone knows it.
The Nate Diaz shell of a defense that he has, one hand over the other hand, and just keeps moving forward. Great comparison, Lousy.
That's a nice one, man. Like, I think that is what it is. Like, Strickland is like a Nate Diaz, goes forward, throws some combinations, has that exactly
his defensive style,
same
the
style.
One hand over the other, one fist over the other.
And the problem is with that is ultimately he's going to do good against people who are a little bit guys who are maybe good in a few rounds, but then they gas out, or guys who are maybe their striking is not complete, but Adesanya is a complete striker. A guy who can kick, punch, elbow, knee, everything perfect, angles off, head movement slick, fast movement. He's got it all, literally.
Yep, he's
literally got it all.
He's one of the faces of the UFC right now, is Adesanya, and I don't think Sean Strickland's gonna knock him off off the face.
No, because
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think you have to have some type of attribute that can expose Adesanya. For Pereira, that he beat Adesanya.
He has pressure.
Yeah, he has pressure. That is an attribute that can. But the problem is with pressure, you need to have speed with the pressure. He doesn't have. Strickland, to be honest, is not the fastest guy.
Yeah,
he's slow. I'll say he's slow. What he has is just the guts to go forward.
Toughness.
Yes.
He has a concrete chin.
Yeah.
And he just keeps moving forward.
But if you look at, like, let's say the guy that beat Adesanya a few fights ago, Pereira is faster than Strickland. Pereira has non-telegraphed leg kicks that just, it's so hard to read when the kick is going to happen. So Adesanya was like, what's going on? So eventually Pereira in the 4th or 5th round, he kicked Adesanya's leg to the point where Adesanya tried to kick him back, and then Pereira checked it with the knee, and then Adesanya's basically foot kind of almost broke or whatever, and then he rolled backwards, right? So that's the way that Pereira kind of worked, was that he kept kicking Adesanya's legs, and eventually Adesanya tried to kick back, and his leg was kind of worn from Pereira's leg kicks, and then he got screwed. So that was a weird way to lose, but that's kind of the way to beat Adesanya in the UFC and MMA is to do something.
We all saw what Pereira did to Strickland.
Yeah, and we saw what Pereira did to Strickland, so we're talking about levels to this, right?
Yeah.
Levels.
Well, we also saw what Izzy did in the second fight against Pereira.
Exactly. Figured him out, realized that, hey, I'm going to have to go forward a little bit and not just back up the whole time.
Pressure versus pressure?
A little bit of pressure.
So KO is possible.
Yeah, and what I like
about... You think KO is realistic?
Listen, Adesanya in his last fight versus Pereira literally said about 2 weeks before the fight that he felt like he could pull out because his legs were I think his ankle or something was injured. He decided to take the fight, and look what he did. He played possum and counterpunch, knocked out Pereira, which is Pereira's amazing striker. Look what Pereira did at 205 as he moved up. He beat Blachowicz, who's a former champion a month ago. So look what Adesanya can do when he's injured. God damn. So we're talking about a guy where
exact method of victory.
Yeah,
KO.
Man, exactly. Like he's
Is that the bet?
Adesanya has gotten better. I think KO makes a lot of sense, and I think if it's a decent price,
both pressuring each other.
If Adesanya, if it's like minus 150 for KO, I will take that. Why? Because I believe Strickland is slow. Okay, if you're slow, if you're relatively fast. Right? Like, Cannonier is faster than Strickland, and Cannonier is not even fast.
That was a hell of a fight.
It was a hell of a fight. But look at Costa. Costa's not fast. And he got KO'd. I would say Strickland is just about as fast as Costa. Not that fast. They're both about, And so you look at Romero. Obviously, Romero has huge knockout power, which is why he decisioned him.
I don't think Vettori is fast either, though.
Whitaker got KO'd. Yeah,
Vittori's a wrestler.
Vittori's more of a wrestler, kind of a grappler type stuff going on. And, I'm not saying that Strickland definitely gets knocked out, but what I'm saying, though, is that if Strickland decides to pressure, which is highly likely, right? Adesanya is the best. Is he the best counterpuncher in history? It's Anderson Silva or him at this point. What he did.
It's not far off, bro.
It's either him or Anderson, right?
Well, it's Izzy fought
Anderson as he was a little bit older, but yeah. So you have to say it's Izzy or Adesanya who are the best counterpunchers in the UFC in the history.
Yeah,
I have to say. Look what they've done, and so what he did in his last knockout with Pereira was amazing. Strickland is slow. He's going to come in with a combination of punches. Adesanya is great at reading punches. The one weakness Adesanya had was reading the leg kicks. And Strickland doesn't throw leg kicks, man, that much.
Strickland doesn't throw leg kicks that much.
So if he's not throwing enough leg kicks, Adesanya is a goddamn, he's going to time you on the punches. It's only a matter of time before he lands something clean, in my opinion, with his slick head movement and then comes back with a counter. I think Adesanya by KO, if it's about minus 150 or if you're getting plus money.
If it's anything over.
Small bet on it.
If it's over minus 200, I'm not touching
No, I don't want it. Yeah, at that point, I'm just it's close, so. I'll get some decent money on that. If it's a good price, then maybe that. Other than that,
I don't know.
I'll throw Adesanya on the parlay just to add to it.
for the win, though. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, the puncher's always got a chance because UFC. You never know what these things.
Yeah.
And underdog might come through. Yeah. You never know how hard this guy's training. You never know a mindset of people.
Mm-hmm.
Izzy might actually look past Strickland as this guy is nobody.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to do anything to me. You never know what people are thinking.
Yeah.
If we're just going off of numbers and brass tacks here, I think Izzy steamrolls Sean Strickland.
I know Pereira landed a lot of leg kicks on Strickland.
Yeah.
And Izzy will land a lot of leg kicks, on Strickland. So it's either Adesanya by decision or KO, obviously. No submission here, but I'm just thinking that, Strickland does take chances. Strickland does come forward, and Strickland...
Pressure.
Yeah.
In your face.
Strickland...
He's
gotten better, too, though, since the Pereira fight, definitely. It is. You're right. It's hard to say. I think I'm just going to put Adesanya on the parlay.
Okay.
Just put him on there, because he's I can't see how he loses. He's too quick, too smart, head movement, counterpunching. It's too good. Leg kick. So, going with Adesanya, guys. Appreciate listening.
Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you.